Saparikashi Shri Guru Gaurachandra Ju Ki Jai, Shri Giraj Govardhan Ju Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajaka Āchārya Astatar Sata Shri Śrīmātī Śrīlekha Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswāmī Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajaka Āchārya Astatar Sata Shri Śrīmātī Śrīlekha Bhakti Rakha Sridhar Dev Goswāmī Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai, welcome to Śrī Chaitanya Saraswati Mission morning class. Haribo, Dandavad. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Chata Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavangscha Shri Rūpam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitangstam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vidangscha Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rūpa Kadamahyam Tadati Svapadantikam. Haribo. Jai, continuing to read Śrī Chaitanya Charitāmṛta. Today's the appearance day of Śrī Sita Ṭhākurāṇī, the consort, eternal consort of Śrī Advaita Prabhu. She came to Mahāprabhu to give so many gifts when Mahāprabhu appeared, and gave many gifts. I should probably find that volume, and also offered so many prayers because she is Sita Ṭhākurāṇī. She's so affectionate to Mahāprabhu, and she offered many. She said, except for the color, this is Krishna. This is definitely Krishna himself who has come here. And anyway, she was very dear friend of Shachi Devi, and they had extreme affectionate relationship. And sometimes Sita Ṭhākurāṇī would cook for Mahāprabhu with so much affection. Haribo, because Mahāprabhu stayed in the home of Advaita Prabhu after taking sannyas for a few days, some days, and Shachi Devi came there, and they were cooking so much for Mahāprabhu. So, Jai Sita Ṭhākurāṇī Ki Jai, may she give us her divine and causeless blessings. Haribo. Jai Śrī Chaitanya Charitāmṛta Ki Jai. This is the 16th chapter of the Antya Lila, and now we're in text 102. So here we have the definition of the word Sukriti, which refers to pious activities performed by the mercy of Krishna. So when it says, after accumulating so many pious activities, this is Sukriti. One who is fortunate enough to obtain such mercy receives the remnants of the Lord's food, and thus becomes glorious. Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Shri Krishna Das Kaviraj Ki Jai Srila Om Vishnupad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Text 102. Majjana Kariya Kaila Bhiksha Nirvahana Krishna Dharamrita Sada Antare Smarana. After finishing his noon duties, Śrī Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ate his lunch, but he constantly remembered the remnants of Krishna's food. Pahya Kucha Karena Premi Gara Gara Mana kaste samvarana karena avesha shagana. Śrī Chaitanya Mahaprabhu performed his external activities, but his mind was filled with ecstatic love. With great difficulty he tried to restrain his mind, but it would always be overwhelmed by very deep ecstasy. Sanja kuchakari punani jagana sange nibrite bashila nana Krishna katarange. After finishing his evening duties, Śrī Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sat down with his personal associates in a secluded place and discussed the pastimes of Krishna in great jubilation. Prabhura ingite Govinda Prasada Anila Puri Bharatire Prabhu Kichu Pataila. Following the indications of Śrī Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Govinda brought the prasadam of Lord Jagannath. The Lord sent some to Paramananda Puri and Brahmananda Bharati. Ramananda Sarvabhauma Swarupadi Gane Sabare Prasada Dila Karya Vantane. Śrī Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then gave shares of the prasadam to Ramananda Rai, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Swarup Damodar Goswāmī, and all the other devotees. Prasade, so we read yesterday that how difficult it is to follow the path of yoga, or follow the path of karma, and get some temporary situation in the heavenly planet. It's very difficult to do this. And then after all that punya has been used up, then back down again. He said, but anyone who surrenders to me, I am providing everything for them. As he says later, I preserve what they have and I carry what they lack. So here, Mahaprabhu is giving shares of the prasadam to Ramananda Rai, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Swarup Damodar Goswāmī, and all the other devotees. Prasadera Saurabhya Madhurya Karya Svadana Alokika Asfade Sabara Bishmita Hailamana. As they tasted the uncommon sweetness and fragrance of the prasadam, everyone's mind was struck with wonder. Prabhu kahe esha bahai prakrita dravya Aikshava karpura maricha elaicha lavanga gavya rasavasa gudaktava adi jatasava prakrita vastura svada sabara anubhava. Śrī Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, these ingredients such as sugar, camphor, black pepper, cardamom, cloves, butter, spices, and licorice are all material. Everyone has tasted these material substances before. This is a good point. The word prakriti refers to things tasted for sense gratification of the conditioned soul. Such things are limited by the material laws. Śrī Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to make the point that material things have already been experienced by material absorbed persons who are interested only in sense gratification. I was just going to say something about this because you're saying the uncommon sweetness and aroma, and they're relishing it so much. But this is not what we have enjoyed through our senses. Sedravya eta asvara ganda lokatita asvara kariya deka savara pratita. However, the Lord continued, in these ingredients, there are extraordinary tastes and uncommon fragrances. Just taste them and see the difference in the experience. Asvara dure rahu jara gande mate manna apana bina anya madhurya karaya bishmarana. Apart from the taste, even the fragrance pleases the mind and makes one forget any other sweetness besides its own. tate e dravye krishnadara sparshahaila andarera guna shava ihate sancharila. Therefore, it is to be understood that the spiritual nectar of Krishna's lips has touched these ordinary ingredients and transferred them all their spiritual qualities. It is therefore to be understood that the spiritual nectar of Krishna's lips has touched these ordinary ingredients and transferred them all their spiritual qualities. The spiritual qualities of the Lord's lips have been transferred into this prasadam. Since everyone had previously tasted these ingredients, why had they become so extraordinary and spiritually delicious? This was proof that food, prasadam, becomes uncommonly flavorful and delicious by touching Krishna's lips. Alokika gandha svada anya bishmarana mahamadaka haya e Krishna darera guna. A fragrance and taste that are uncommon and greatly enchanting, and that make one forget all other experiences, are attributes of Krishna's lips. This is this is how Krishna's lips are. We have to understand the quality of infinity. Krishna is infinite. That means he has... We can't keep any conception of Krishna in a box. So everything about Krishna is completely astonishing, wondrous, and not without any limit that this is how good it is to taste, camphor or whatever it is. No, there's no describing it. Aneke sukṛti iha hanyate samprapti shabe e ashvada karakari mahabhakti. This prasadam has been made available only as a result of many pious activities. Now taste it with great faith and devotion. And again, what is pious activities as being described by Mahaprabhu? Is Sukriti. Pious activities in relation to the Lord and His devotees. Haridvani kari shabe kaila ashvadana ashvadite preme matahaila sabaramana. Loudly chanting the holy name of Hari, all of them tasted the prasadam. As they tasted it, their mind became mad in the ecstasy of love. Prema Veshe Mahaprabhu Jabe Antya Lila Ramananda Rai Shloka Padite Lagila. In ecstatic love, Śrī Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ordered Ramananda Rai to recite some verses. Thus Ramananda Rai spoke as follows. Surata Vardhanam Shokana Nashana Surata Vardhanam Shokana Shanam Swarita Venuna Shustu Chumbitam Itara Raga Bishmaranam Nrinam Vitara Bhira Nasteda Dharamritam. O hero of charity, please deliver unto us the nectar of your lips. O hero of charity, the most heroic giver of charity. That nectar increases lusty desires for enjoyment and diminishes lamentation in the material world. Kindly give us the nectar of your lips, which are touched by your transcendentally vibrating flute, for that nectar makes all human beings forget all other attachments. This is a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam. So increases lusty desires, and this again, lolyam, but on the positive side of lolyam, the real lolyam. It increases lusty desires, meaning desires to in the service plane, in the self-giving, self-sacrificing plane, and diminishes lamentation in the material world. So, if we think any of this can compare to mundane activities, we should understand that all mundane activities, which may be similar looking to the Aprakrita Lila of Krishna, they do not decrease the lamentation of this world. They pretty much guarantee it.
What is Aprakrita Lila?
Aprakrita means it is looking similar to the mundane world. Similar. So that the form of Narayan is not similar to anything in the material world. But the pastimes of beyond that in Goloka are human-like. And that is, Krishna very much likes the human position. When the soul comes to human life, it's even said in the Bible that man is made in image and likeness of God. So human life is the best opportunity for spiritual growth. Because we're not so strongly under the laws of karma that we either are suffering too much or enjoying too much. The free will is at its best latitude here in human life. And a Prakriti Lila looks like human life, but of course it's completely opposite to whatever the mundane potential of human life. Is that clear?
Yes.
Shloka Shuni Mahaprabhu Mahatushtahaila Radhara Utkanta Shloka Parite Lagila. Upon hearing Ramananda Roy quote this verse, Śrī Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very satisfied. He then recited the following verse, which had been spoken by Śrīmati Radharani in great anxiety. Brajatula kalangane tara rasali trishnahara Trishnahara Padivyat Adamrita Sukriti Labhya Pelalapa Shuddhajid Avilalika Sudala Vitika Charvitaha Same Madana Mohana Sakti Tanoti Jiva Spriham. My dear friend, the all-surpassing nectar from the lips of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna can be obtained only after many, many pious activities. For the beautiful gopis of Vrindavan, that nectar vanquishes the desire for all other tastes. Madan Mohan always chews pan that surpasses the nectar of heaven. He is certainly increasing the desires of my tongue. So neither Krishna's lips nor the divine tongue of Śrīmati Radharani are mundane in any way. This verse is found in the Govinda Lilamrita. Attakahi Gora Prabhu Bhava Vishtahanya Dui Shlokera Artakare Pralapa Kariya. After saying this, Śrī Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was overwhelmed by ecstatic, loving emotions. Talking like a madman, he began to explain the meaning of the two verses. Tanumana karaya kshoba badaya shurata loba harsha shokari bara binashai pasharaya anyarasa jagat kare atmavasha laja dharma dairya kare kshaya nagara shuna tomara adara charita mataya narira mana jiva kare akashana vacharite shava viparita. My dear lover, Lord Chaitanya said, in the mood of Śrīmatī Radharani, let me describe some of the characteristics of your transcendental lips. They agitate the mind and body of everyone. They increase lusty desires for enjoyment of the nectar of devotion. They destroy the burden of material happiness and lamentation, and they make one forget all material tastes. The whole world falls under their control. They vanquish shame, religion, and patience, especially in women. Indeed, they aspire madness in the minds of all women. Your lips increase the greed of the tongue and thus attract it. Considering all this, we see that the activities of your transcendental lips are always paradoxical. So beyond the patience and shame of religiosity, there is the transcendental plane, where there is full innocence. There's shame in the mundane world, for sure. There is no reason not to be ashamed of ourselves in the mundane world. But beyond that is the plane of devotion, where there is full innocence. There is no shame, and there's no need for patience. This is all to be madness for the purity, full purity of devotion. And so just as Lord Jagannath has tasted with his divine lips that Mahāprasādam that everyone is relishing so much, because the touch of his lips has transformed it into complete sweetness and quality of taste and aroma that is transcendental. So we should think like this when we hear these verses. Achuka narirakai kahite bishiyalaj tomara adara badda drishtarai Purushe kare akarshana apana piyaite mana anyarasa shabapasharai. My dear Krishna, since you are a male, it is not extraordinary that the attraction of your lips can disturb the minds of women. But I am ashamed to say that your impudent lips sometimes attract even your flute, which is also considered a male. It likes to drink the nectar of your lips, and thus it also forgets all other tastes. So this is the transcendental nature. It is not... this is the transcendental reality of the absolute reality of Krishna's position. It doesn't have any... There's nothing that will not be attracted by Krishna. The supreme center, the supreme natural attractor of the real pure heart of anyone. Sachetana rahu dure achetana sachetana kare tomara adara badda vijikar tomara venu shukhendana Tara janmaya indriyamana, tare apana piyaya nirantar. Aside from conscious living beings, even unconscious matter is sometimes made conscious by your lips. Therefore your lips are great magicians. Paradoxically, although your flute is nothing but dry wood, your lips constantly make it drink that nectar. They create a mind and senses in the dry wooden flute and give it transcendental bliss. Benu drishta purushahanya purushadara piya piya gopigane janaya nijapana aho shuna gopigana pale pino tomara dhana tomara jadita ke abhiman. That flute is very cunning male who drinks again and again the taste of another male's lips. It advertises its qualities and says to the gopis, "Oh gopis, you are so proud of being women. Come forward and enjoy your property, the nectar of the lips of the personality of Godhead." So there's nothing wrong there. Nothing like the reflection of any kind of thing in this world which we don't even want to think about. But this is not, it's saying this is the transcendental plane. Everything is beautiful and no relativity of things is going to be a hindrance there. Tabe mora kroda karila jabayat arma chari chari dimokara ashipana nahe pimu nirantara tomaya mora nahi kadara anyi de kontra nera samana. Thereupon the flute angrily said to me, "Give up your shame, fear, and religion, and come drink the lips of Krishna. On that condition I shall give up my attachment for them. If you do not give up your shame and fear, however, I shall continuously drink the nectar of Krishna's lips. I am slightly fearful because you also have the right to drink that nectar, but as for the others, I consider them like straw." This is transcendental impudence. Ādarāmṛta nija sware sanchariya se bali akarshaya trijagatak jana amara dharma bhayakari rahi jari darya dari tabe amaya kare vidambana. The nectar of Krishna's lip combined with the vibration of his flute attracts all the people of the three worlds. But if we gopis remain patient out of respect for religious principles, the flute then will criticize us. That's wonderful. So the flute is encouraging. The society may criticize you that you are running to Krishna, giving up religion, hesitation, the shame of ordinary crossing religious behavior. But Krishna he is the source of religion. And he's saying, "Sarvadharmamrita, give up all that. Come to me. I am beyond religion. I am higher than religion." And so the flute is saying, well, if you're going to be like that, then it's just going to be me, enjoying the nectar of Krishna's lips. But this is all sweetness and divinity, divine relationships in the servants of Krishna. Hari Bol. All right, we can stop here. These are very high things, but we can at least relate them to something that we've been asked to understand about the absolute reality. I mean, that's a very... anyway, we can think like that. Excuse me. Jai Śrī Chaitanya Charitāmṛta ki Jai, Śrīla Krishna Kaviraj ki Jai, Śrīla Om Vishnupad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki Jai. Jai Śrī Upadeśāmṛta ki Jai, Śrīla Rūpa Goswāmī Pad ki Jai. And reading the commentaries by Śrīla Bhakti Rakha Śrī Dhvani Goswāmī Maharaj. Okay, we'll recite these verses. I think it's a good idea when you wake up in the morning, just to start chanting some verses that we're trying to remember, or just listening to them. Whatever verses we have memorized or want to remember, or we have written down, and just go about our business, whatever we have to do in the morning while reciting verses instead of letting the mind continue to run like a little dog, like it did in dreamland. And when we have to say these things with consciousness, because once you've memorized a verse, you can just go blabbing it on and not paying attention. But we have to remember what all these words mean, and they'll come to us during the day when we've made a mistake. When we've made a mistake, we go, there's Vacho Vegam. I didn't think before I spoke. Just bleh. Or Manasa Vegam. What was I just thinking about for the last who knows how long? All these different kinds of things. So, Vacho Vegam, Manasa Krodha Vegam, Jiva Vegam, Udara Pasta Vegam, Etan Veganyo Vishaheta Dhira, Sarvam Apimam Prativim Susisyat, Atyahara Prayasascha, Prajalpo Niyamagraha, Janasangas Chaloyancha, Sadvir Bhaktir Binashyati, Uttahan Nischayatarya, Tatat Karma Pravartanat, Sangajagat Sato Vite, Sadvir Bhakti Prasidyati. The 6 things which enhance devotion. Dadati Pratigrahnati, Guhyamakyati Pichati, Bhunkte Bojayate Chaiva, Sadvidam Pritilakshanam. 6 exchanges of affection between the devotees. Krishneti yasya giritam manasadriyeta, dikshasti che pranati bischa bhajantam isham, shushaya bhajana vigyam ananyamanya, nindari sunya vidamipshita shangalabdya. And our relationship with different persons on different levels of chanting the holy name. Dishtaya Shabhava Janite Vapushascha Doshaya Na Prakritatvam Bhakta Janasya Pasyet Gangam Basam Na Kalu Buddha Pena Pankhe Brahmadravatvam Apagachati Niradharmai. Not to see the seeming defects in the devotee, as we do not consider the Ganga defective in any way due to something external. Śrī Krishna nama charitari sitapya vidya pito patapta rasanasya chikanu kinvadaram anudinam kalu saiva jushta Svadvikramad bhavati tad kadamulahantri. The holy name will awaken our perception of the sweetness of the holy name. Tad nama rupa charitari sukirtananu smrityo kramena rasana manasi niyoja. Tishtan Brajetanuragi Jaganugami Kalam Nayed Akilamityupadeshasharam. The essence of all instruction. And number 9. Vaikuntaj Janito Varamadupuri Tatra Pirasotsavat Vindaranyam Udarapani Ramana Tatrapi Govardhana Radha Kundamihapi Kokulapate Premamrita Plavana Kuryadasya Birajito Giritate Sevang Vivekanakaha. These are the gradations of Srila Guru Maharaj is saying place or the different realms of different levels of rasa. Karimbya parito hare priyata ya vyaktyam ya yogyaninas tebhyo jnana vimukta bhakti parama premaika nishtastataha tebhyasta pashupala pankaja dishastabhyopi saradhika presta tadvadiyam tadiya sharasi tamnashrayet kakriti. More dear to Krishna in all respects than the performer of pious deeds, meaning ordinary karma, are knowers of Brahman, meaning coming above that, seeing that everything is actually of a single divine quality. More dear, pardon? Undifferentiated, yeah, and that is not necessarily understood as being non-differentiated. It depends on one's guru. Can become to that plane without understanding, because of hearing, that there is differentiation between them, and going to beyond that to Vasudeva conception. But more dear than them are the devotees completely free from knowledge of Brahman in the sense of non-differentiation. More dear than them are devotees fixed exclusively in divine love. More dear than them are the gopis, and more dear than them is Sri Radhika. Her lake is similarly dear to Krishna. What fortunate soul would not take shelter there?
What is the difference between the devotees fixed in
Love.
divine love and the gopis?
Yeah. And the gopis?
Yeah.
Well, there's a general sense of divine love. And then there is the very high particular position of the gopis. There's so much gradation. And in between, there's so much gradation. But these are the general positions of gradation. There's so much written about and spoken about these things, but the particular position of Śrīmatī Radharani is above all the other gopis even. And there's many things about this. Haribo. You have to put a thing in your phone to remind you to charge everything, right? At night.
The show was so amazing last night that I forgot.
Right. Forgot all else. Page 251 in the commentaries of this verse by Śrīla Bhakti Rakak Śrī Goswāmī Maharaj. Haribo. 251, halfway down. Nahi kaschit kshanam apijatu tishtatyakar. Really, no one can stop all karma wholesale. Karma meaning action. Sharira yatrapi chate na prasidyet akarmana. Even if one leaves all karma, one still has to take food and go to the liquor. And it's also a type of karma. So to get out of karma does not mean that we should try to get out of all physical karma. That's not possible, and that's not what is expected. Well, nothing is expected which is impossible to do. So they're kind of barking up the wrong tree. Not only the physical attempt should be considered in karma, because the mind is also there. And that is the real seat of karma. The real cause is in the mind, meaning intention. Mental desire, kamana and vasana, is the actual karma, not something external. And of course we have so many examples of this. It is the intention which is actually causing karma. The physical is innocent. The culprit is the mind. If we do not move our physical limbs, but we go on mentally planning and planning, then we are committing karma. But if in our minds, we are clear to obey the direction of God or Dharma, then our physical activity has no value. The mind is all important. It has no value. It's not relevant. It's not the deciding factor of anything. The mind is all important. The internal, the plan, the purpose, the impulse, the sankalpa, that is all the all-important thing. As the mind says, so the body serves. The body is innocent. Hadvapi sa ima loka nahanti na nibajyate. Even by destroying the entire universe, we may not do anything. Do meaning karma. That may not be under the jurisdiction of karma at all. Actually, Lord Shiva consistently destroys the whole universe. Even by destroying the entire universe, we may not do anything is also possible if we are physically and mentally possessed by the Supreme Authority as we do so. So physical activity should not be considered to be the criterion for whether our actions are good or bad. The valuation of karma is within. It is vasana, to want something separate interest. That is the culprit. When the universal wave is passing and we want to put something special on it, when we do not want to adjust to the universal wave, but instead create a separate wave, then that is karma. And that will come to clash with the universal wave. And what will happen? Reaction. So many waves are there, local and provincial interest. But the final wave, the most fundamental wave, is Krishna consciousness. That's the real thing. We must come to an understanding of that wave, that harmony. Then we will not be engaged in karma. We will be dancing in the universal wave. That is what is necessary. Without that, in whatever plane we may be, by participating and identifying with different waves moving there, we have to encounter a reaction. That is karma, to create a wave of separate interest in this world. So we do not want to delude ourselves that by a certain action, any particular action is going to be considered as good or bad in one sense. But on the other side, doing something is also going, that is also not, either not doing or doing is not the thing. It's not like, well, I can just do anything I want then. No, the criterion is motive. If my motive is selfish, so we are advised, don't do this, conditioned soul. Because if you do, those particular things are going to get you into so much trouble that you will have a very hard time coming out of that hole. This is for conditioned souls like us, and it is not to be ignored. But when the mind is purified and is possessed, as Guru Maharaj says, possessed meaning fully in tune with the divine wave of Krishna's will, then Krishna can give you instruction to do anything. But that's a little down the road. I'm going to... Up the road. So we are, we're not going to try to fool ourselves. So we have to face this challenge internally. Now, there's the big problem. Do I really want to adjust internally? Or do I want to remain in the action of my body world? This is going deeper and deeper, and it's really, and the fight becomes a little more intense with the problem of this free will. We must come into harmony with the nirguna wave of Krishna consciousness, nirguna. It doesn't have any touch of mundanity. Then there will be no karma. Otherwise, we are all creating so many different waves according to separate interests. That is all karma, and everyone is suffering from the reactions until these reactions clash with the higher wave and become destroyed. So internally, we must try to get out of the spirit of karma. We must try to be one with Krishna consciousness, the universal wave, and dance there within that. So Krishna says, Karmanye vadikaraste ma paleshu kadachana ma karma palaheturbur ma te shangos stvakarmani. You have the responsibility only to discharge your duty, your quota, but you should never aspire for any particular consequence from your action. At the same time, don't be idle. Don't be worthless. Go on discharging your duty independent of any consequence outside. This is going to be layer after layer after layer of aspiration, which may be removed from us through surrender. Because when the thing I aspire for is frustrated, we get a chance to bow down and see the nature of that frustration for what it is, and by the grace of the Lord, become freed from that. We can't even see our motives. We've been covered with them for so long. And they really are subtle. Sometimes they're not so subtle. And sometimes they really are subtle. And then we think, well, this keeps happening, that, and this and that, and they're doing that, and then they said that, and this and that, and all this frustration. I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm going to blah, blah, blah. And we can keep on doing that. Or we can say, my Lord, you brought that situation to me. And I bow down to that. Let me see my lesson. It is good for me. And let that very thing, which was the material world, misconstrued by us to be the material world just because I don't like it, and bow down that this is divine. It has come in a divine way to remove some nonsense from me that I couldn't even see before. So, vacho vegam, manasa kroda vegam, jiva vegam, udarupasta vegam. That's one thing. And then so many other things, so many layers and layers and layers and layers and layers of motivation. So we are in good hands. We are surrounded by very well-wishing elements. And they're better than we are. To renounce the material world is just the same coin as trying to enjoy it. We see it as something that I am going to manipulate somehow, either by accepting all this nonsense in the mood of exploitation or renouncing it. It's the same thing. We don't see that it is better than me. We don't see that the environment is higher than what I'm made out of and is coming to help me, to instruct me, to uplift me, and to relieve me of so many burdens. Both renunciation and exploitation are exactly as bad as one another. Two witches, Bhaktivinoda Thakur said. It should be possible for us to conceive, this is my duty and I must do it independent of what the effect will be. Guru Maharaj is saying this is not so difficult. Do that because it is your duty. And you may be moved and adjusted through that duty, but if we're attached that this should be the result, then that adjustment will be very unlikely. We have to let that result come as is the will of the Lord, and adjust according to that. Then faith will grow within us that the environment where we are living is nothing. It is of no importance or value to us. I do not care for this environment. I'm only attached to my duty. And okay, so the same word is being used in different ways here. Environment means the environment of my mundane vision. The environment that I'm trying to exploit, that misconception within my consciousness is being eradicated simply by doing my duty in a mood of detachment or attachment to the result that Krishna is going to send. I do not care for this mundane environment, meaning the environment of my own perception. I am only attached to my duty. I am doing that, whatever the result may be. I have no attachment to the present environment. I may die discharging my duty. I may die at any moment, but I must do my duty. With this strength we are to do, and automatically we will be free from this present environment, which in the case of using the word environment here means Maya, misconception. We have no attachment to the environment when we feel we have got to do our proper duty. And we may risk our life at any moment in such action. If with faith we want to discharge our duty, then attachment to our present environment will all at once have to retire. We will be free. And where does that mundane environment live? It is in the plane of our own perception. Guru Maharaj said, and I'm going to quote this again because really I think it is of great essence, that Maya is an almost non-existent thing. It is Swarup Shakti that is really existing. Maya is simply a misconception of Swarup Shakti. What is really existing, what is true, is Swarup Shakti. Divine, serving nature. And it's this loving, serving nature is pervading the whole environment, actually. But the environment of my own misconception, that will retire. That is all within the plane of perception, of consciousness. It's not a physical thing. Illusion is not a physical thing. Illusion is perception. It's not to do with what is outside. It is our misperception that is the plane of illusion. And it is subjective. Otherwise, if it is not subjective, that means I'm not responsible for it. I just got to get out of here. No, we are fully responsible. And if it were not subjective, then no one could leave the mundane atmosphere until everyone does. Or until something happens and it just blows up or something. It's not at all the idea. It is not at all the right conception. Jai Shri Upadeśāmṛta ki jai, Shri Rūpa Goswāmī ki jai. So we are learning these things by the grace of our divine Guru Varga, and Guru Maharaj is emphasizing again and again and again, try to apply yourself to understand these things carefully. Not to have sort of a blurry, non-differentiated understanding about what Krishna consciousness really is. That would be general gyan, but vigyan means systematic understanding. Jai Shri Upadeśāmṛta ki jai, Shri Rūpa Goswāmī ki jai. Any question? Yeah, it's on, yeah.
Or otherwise mushroom also, no roots.
Yeah, and the analogy that I find really wonderful is cream. You have a big, big vat of milk, and then you have a little layer of cream on the top. This is just some film over consciousness. But the real substance is there. It's not there. It's just there's a film between myself and my perception and the divine nature of Svarup Shakti. Svarup Shakti is what is existing. And so somebody said, so the 14 planetary systems and the coverings of earth, water, fire, air, ether, that is all in the mind? And Guru Maharaj said, yes. That is all within the mind. These are descriptions of the coverings of the perception of the individual soul. Pardon? Yeah. Exactly. Our perception is not what we think it is. Anyway, we're working on it, and we're, as we know, we are simply trying to do our duty by hearing these things, by applying our consciousness and intelligence to try to understand these matters and to adjust ourselves accordingly in our existence. This idea of doing our duty and not expecting and not attached to any particular result. We may be doing something to bring about a result, but it may not do that. That is up to the Lord. But that is a really, really important thing to keep remembering. It is very important to remember that through the course of our time in this, wherever we are, to keep remembering that. Do what we should do, and the result, how can we become attached to the result? We don't even know what it is. We don't know what the Lord is going to give as a result. We can't possibly know that. We can't know it. Only He knows that. And how wonderful is that? Way better than my plans. Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshvaya Namaha Gopal Govinda Ram Śrīmatī Sita Jai Sapadikar Shri Guru Gaur Chandra Ju Ki Jai Sapadikar Shri Guru Gaur Jai Shri Giraj Govardhan Ju Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupada Paramhamsa Padi Brajakacharya Astatarasata Shri Śrīmatī Śrīlekha Bhakti Sundar Govindadev Goswāmī Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupada Paramhamsa Padi Brajakacharya Astatarasata Shri Śrīmatī Śrīlekha Bhakti Rakak Sridharadev Goswāmī Maharaj Ki Jai. Shri Rūpa Nuga Guru Varga Ki Jai. Śrī Chaitanya Saraswat Madhacharya Vrinda Ki Jai. Sannyasi Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Śrīla Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Sadgoswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Saparshad Shriman Mahaprabhu Ki Jai. Saparshad Shri Nityananda Prabhu Ki Jai. Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyamakund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Jai Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Ki Jai. Tadi Sakamat Ki Jai. Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Mission Ki Jai. Kolkarta Ki Jai. Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Śrī Sita Ṭhākurāṇī Abhirbhav Mahamahotsav Ki Jai. Jai Śrī Advaita Prabhu Ki Jai. Jai Śrīmatī Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Samaveda Vaishnava Mandala Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakti Vrinda Ki Jai. Nittai Gaur Premanandi
Haribo. Jai Śrīmatī Śrīlekha
Jai
Didi.
Gurudev. I wanted to also say that on Saturday at noon there'll be a special program coming from here for Lalita Saptami. So if anyone would like to join us, that would be our good fortune. Haribo.
Haribo. And again, we have the fortunate association of Bhima Krishna Prabhu, of Madhava Priya Didi, of Jai Krishna Prabhu from Peru, Lavanya Didi, Shanta Didi, and Kyo on YouTube.